This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It wasn't pretty. It certainly wasn't easy, but at this point in this season, who cares if you are the Milwaukee Brewers as they get the win over the Boston Red Sox at American Family Field on Memorial Day to begin their 3-game series with a final score of 3-2. Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, where we cover all of Wisconsin sports, the Bucks, the Packers, the Badgers, and of course, your Milwaukee Brewers. Lots to get to in today's game. Chad Patrick, I'm going to give you a reason why he's just been my favorite player this season so far to watch for the Milwaukee Brewers. The bullpen getting some help today. We'll discuss the role of what that meant for Logan Henderson and a simple message for this Milwaukee Brewers team. Build off of this. We'll discuss what that means as well going forward as they get the 3-2 win against the Red Sox, now 27-28 on the season, also improving to 16-10 at American Family Field. A Monday day game, obviously, of course, for the Memorial holiday. Your reaction, your thoughts, also welcomed on the program throughout as the Brewers secure win number 2 in a row after beating the Pittsburgh Pirates in their finale there in Pittsburgh on Sunday. And a good bounce back win once again for this Milwaukee Brewers team. Again, wasn't easy, wasn't pretty, but at this point in the season, you really don't care. Let's get to the scoring summary brought to you today by FanDuel. First inning, first pitch. Why wait? Jackson Chourio with the solo blast to left center. That gave the Brewers an early 1-0 lead. You got to go all the way to the 5th inning for the next runs in this game. Back-to-back doubles from Joey Ortiz. How about the bottom of the order today? A little bit of a round of applause for the bottom of the order. Joey Ortiz with the double. Then Andrew Monasterio next up. He plates home. Ortiz with back-to-back doubles right down the line, third base line there for Andrew Monasterio. And at the bottom of the order, to see the production that we saw, it's not going to knock your socks off, but to have some sort of production from the bottom of the order today was fantastic against a really good starting pitcher in Garrett Crochet for the Boston Red Sox. That back-to-back doubles there, that scored Joey Ortiz. That led it at 2-0 for the Brewers. You got to fast forward a few innings later. The 8th inning proved to be an interesting one for the Milwaukee Brewers. They were up 2-0. Abner Uribe came in. DL Hall, let's also give it up to DL Hall today. 2 1/3 innings, 2 hits allowed. He did allow that 1 earned run, and we'll get to that earned run as Abner Uribe was part of that. It was a fielder's choice that scored Devers. Uribe wasn't given a third call strike, which that allowed Devers to get into scoring position in the 8th inning. James Jean, the home plate umpire, I don't really know what he was looking at. Eric Haas, the catcher that was on duty today, dropped the ball, but it was clearly a strike. I when you have an opportunity like that, you got to capitalize on it if you're the home plate umpire. I mean, ball was clearly there. That allowed Devers to even get into scoring position because Carlos Narvaez eventually singled after not being called out on that third strike. So James Jean behind the plate, it seemed like the strike zone as this game went on became tighter and tighter. But that third missed call strike there allowed the Boston Red Sox to get on the board. But the Brewers, to their credit, once again, we had talked about last year, they had that resiliency. They were, never out of any game. And keep in mind, they were still up in this game 2-1 in that bottom of the 8th inning, a swinging bunt. The Brewers finally catching a break. It feels like none of these breaks have gone the way for the Milwaukee Brewers over the course of this young season. A swinging bunt from Eric Haas that scored Contreras. That gave the Brewers a 3-1 lead to the 9th. Jarren Duran had an RBI single in the 9th, but Trevor McGill would secure the Brewers win with his 10th save of the season, a 3-2 win over the Boston Red Sox at American Family Field. Lots of reaction being poured in, and we're going to lead off with Nick, our everydayer. And once again, thanks to each and every one of you for always making Locked On Brewers your first listen each and every day. Nick, I'm simply happy for a win today, then player of the game. We'll get to player of the game. It's kind of a weird game because there really wasn't a whole lot of offense, a 3-2 game. It was more pitching, if that's going to be the spoiler for the player of the game. And we'll get into the player of the game. Drum on YouTube. Chet Patrick has issues when it comes to the fifth inning and beyond. Let's talk about Chad Patrick there, Drum. And thank you once again for always tuning into the Locked On Brewers postcast. I understand that he didn't want Rafael Devers once again lined up with Chad Patrick. I know he battled him in his first two at-bats, and the television broadcast had mentioned the third time through the order. Chad Patrick was absolutely dealing today. I mean, his cutter wasn't locating in the fashion that obviously he would tell you he wanted it to, but he threw, let me pull up his pitch count because I looked at it before, 79 pitches and 50 of them for strikes. His ERA now sub-3 at 2.97. I don't know. I have kind of talked about this management from Pat Murphy, who again, I love, and I have a lot of respect for, and off the field, on the field. I would have let Chad Patrick go. I would have let him stay out there. 79 pitches. He only goes 4 2/3 innings today, but he allowed only 3 hits, no runs. Like, I understand the fear of having that third time through the order, but you cannot tell me in the same breath that you're worried about your bullpen being taxed when you're not allowing your starter to go a full 5 innings. I mean, in the case for this, in that fifth inning with 2 outs, maybe he allows a walk. Maybe he allows a hit. Maybe he allows a solo home run. At that, you're still have an opportunity to go into that 6th inning with the lead going forward and saving a little bit of your bullpen. I would have let Chad Patrick continue on in that 5th inning. Obviously, Pat Murphy did not. It proved to work out, right? Dale Hall looked good, 2 1/3, only the 1 run. So again, we talk about the bullpen being taxed, and we talk about, not wanting to play through the third, time through the batting order. I don't know. I think that's over management. Again, go back to it. I think it's over management with some of these starting pitchers. You got to allow them to keep going, and you got to keep going, especially when they're in a groove. Like I feel like Chad Patrick was today again, and he was fantastic. And I just thought that in that moment in this game, I thought that was a bit of an over management once again for manager Pat Murphy. And it did come back to bite him, clearly, but nonetheless, I would have let Chad Patrick continue pitching in this game because I thought he was fantastic. One of my very best friends, Chris Kitchnet, over on YouTube, saying, "You got lucky, buddy." He is a Boston Red Sox fan. I don't know if we got lucky. You got lucky you scored 1 run in the 8th because it should have been a called third strike on Carlos Narvaez, and it would not have scored a run in the 8th. Listen, let's do this because I have the reasons as to why. We did a lot of talking about Chad Patrick. Let's get into my player of the game as the Brewers beat the Boston Red Sox in game 1 of their 3-game series, 3-2.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Into today's matchup, the Boston Red Sox offense has been really, really, really good. I'm going to give you a couple of numbers here, so bear with me. 7th most home runs, and this is throughout all of Major League Baseball, not just the American League. 7th most home runs. 7th most runs scored per game. Spoiler alert, number 1 team, the Cubs, who are in Colorado or are playing Colorado in Chicago today. We'll get into the NL Central here shortly. 7th most runs scored per game. 6th most runs batted in. 8th highest batting average, and the 2nd most hits. That has been the Boston Red Sox up until today, up until they met their match with Chad Patrick on the mound, who gets my player of the game. Again, you guys are heard me rattle off, and again, he is going to be one of my favorite players throughout the course of the season to watch and keep an eye on. The number 39, throwing the cutter, I don't know, just brings back good memories with other former players. 4 2/3 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts. His earned run average now under 3 at 2.97. I had mentioned how much I wanted him to stay in through that 5th inning. He obviously did not, 4 2/3. But Chad Patrick gets my player of the game, and I understand that Alex Bregman did not play, for the Boston Red Sox, who's dealing with an injury, and you could point to, where their offensive struggles may or may not be starting without him in their lineup. This is still a very potent offense, and Chad Patrick absolutely dominated the Boston Red Sox today as the Brewers get the 3-2 win in game 1 of their 3-game series. We talked about the bullpen getting some help, and what my message is for this Milwaukee Brewers team after they've now won consecutive games, their final against the Pittsburgh Pirates on Sunday, and game 1 against these Boston Red Sox, 3-2. And newsflash, it's going to get tougher for the Brewers, but I have a simple message for that. We'll get into all of that coming up right after this. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and those can't-miss moments. Last night's can't-miss moment was Karl-Anthony Towns going crazy against the Indiana Pacers. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and during the game. With player props, performance trends, and those same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Tonight's game 4 against the Timberwolves and OKC. I went on FanDuel.com. I wanted to take a little bit of a peek. The Timberwolves put on a show in game 3 to get the win. The over-under right now is 219. I think the final was 143-101 the other night. So I might have to hammer the over on that 219 between Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves in game 4 this evening. And if you're new to FanDuel, here, check this out. This is where it really gets interesting. Today is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If that first $5 bet wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. I'll repeat that for you because it is a heck of a deal. Head to FanDuel.com. If you place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Once again, head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If that wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. The Milwaukee Brewers taking care of business at American Family Field today with the 3-2 win over the Boston Red Sox, now 27-28 on the season. Nick, over on YouTube, quite a few questionable calls the last few games we had discussed. I don't want to say this, it wasn't. I'm not the umpire / referee guy. For the most part, I thought James Jean behind the dish called a fine game. The 8th inning was just really weird, and Abner Uribe was not thrilled with that call. He stared him down. It was a completely missed call. It got the Boston Red Sox on the board eventually after a Carlos Narvaez single after he should have been called out on 3 strikes. But nonetheless, the Milwaukee Brewers do get a much-needed win. And I say much-needed because it has been few and far between where this team has been able to stack wins. Now, you go back to their last 3-game win streak. You got all the way back. I shouldn't say all the way back, but to that Orioles Twins series, which feels like a lifetime ago, but it really wasn't. It just 4 games in Pittsburgh in between there. And obviously the first game with Boston today. But this is a pivotal stretch for this Milwaukee Brewers team. And we had talked about their bullpen getting some help. Aaron Ashby reinstated from the 60-day IL. DL Hall also reinstated. He looked great today, 2 1/3 innings after Chad Patrick shut down the Boston Red Sox offense, who you heard the numbers a minute ago are extremely good. But this is a very extremely pivotal moment for this Milwaukee Brewers team, and we'll discuss it coming up because these are the things you're going to be talking about tomorrow.
This is what you'll be talking about.
To win today kicks off the 3-game series between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Boston Red Sox. Trevor McGill getting the save today. The bottom of the order coming up clutch. Chad Patrick looking good. The bullpen flexing a little bit with Abner Uribe and DL Hall. We'll see exactly what the bullpen does going forward. Logan Henderson back to Nashville. I'm not thrilled with it. If you follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Schneid, I've said that tweet that kind of went viral, sort of, was that I just don't want to see him back in Nashville. There's no reason to see him back in Nashville. Pat Murphy citing, obviously, the tax bullpen issues being a big reason why. Health concerns, the amount of innings he's pitched, they want to kind of keep an eye on him going forward, and I understand all of that. However, he has been really your best starting pitcher throughout the season, at Logan Henderson, that is. But nonetheless, the things you're going to be talking about tomorrow: Philadelphia, a 3-game series on the road, a 3-game series at Cincinnati. You return back home for what's going to be your largest homestand against the San Diego Padres, the Atlanta Braves, and the St. Louis Cardinals. And then you finish that week off with a trip to Chicago to play the Cubs. It's time, if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, the time is now to stack. You've got to start stacking wins. You're at I don't want to say like a do or die part of your season. We had mentioned that this Brewers team the division has grown tougher than imagined to begin the year. The Brewers right now, 6.5 games back in the division. The Cubs did get the win this afternoon over the Rockies. So they're 6.5 games back in the division as it currently stands right now, 27 and 28. These last 2 games at American Family Field against an uncommon opponent, obviously the American League Boston Red Sox. I don't want to say, this is, you got to win all 3, because I know you guys get sick of me saying, win every game. But I feel like for this Milwaukee Brewers team, Aaron Savale getting the start tomorrow, back on a normal start time too, this is kind of a Red Sox team that is reeling a little bit. They've lost their last 3 games. Obviously today against the Milwaukee Brewers, and their last 2 out of 3 against the Orioles they lost. Not a very good team, as the Brewers saw a week ago. The opportunity right now for this Milwaukee Brewers team to kick off this tough stretch is right now. It's right now. You got a much-needed win today. You're back to being just a game under 500. You've buried yourself enough of this season. It's time to start building off of this. Guys need to step up. Christian Yelich getting the day off today, assuming we'll see him in the lineup tomorrow. Jackson Chourio hitting a solo home run today. Felt amazing to see that, and for a number of reasons. The Brewers getting an early lead, but just for the kid himself, who has struggled at the plate during this season. This is it right here. And I have mentioned it before. This is your turning point. We talk about turning point on this program. This is the turning point in the season. And it's going to go one way or the other. You're 27 and 28 on the season. You're a game under 500. And the next month of your schedule is going to dictate the direction this team goes into for the rest of the summer. And you kicked it off today with an extremely much needed big time victory, especially coming off of 4 games at Pittsburgh that 3 out of the 4 of those games were decided by 1 run. So it was it. This is it. This is do or die. Thanks to Nick over on YouTube for the phrase. This is do or die right now for this Milwaukee Brewers 2025 campaign. And you get 3 games at home to kick it off. And it's going to be one of the toughest stretches of the season as it shapes out right now. Boston obviously slipping a little bit, but Philly is looking good. The Cubs obviously are atop of the division, 12 games over 500. The St. Louis Cardinals are winning games. The Reds are sort of, kind of treading water like the Milwaukee Brewers, up and down, having their moments. But at, Great American Ballpark is always an interesting series, although the Brewers have fared well there before. This year feels different for them, and we'll see how they respond. But this is it. This is the start of the direction that this season's going to go. I'm not saying if they, have a rough stretch during this that it's not possible to bounce back and people will come back and check me for it. But if you rattle off 10 wins in the next, 12 games, you could turn around your season rather quickly. And we mentioned the Cubs schedule gets easier. The Brewers schedule, unfortunately, gets tougher, but you had a much-needed win today against the Boston Red Sox, 3-2, 27 and 28 on the season. We'll see if Aaron Savale can get the Crew win number 3 tomorrow. We'll be back with you tomorrow evening after the last out is recorded, after the Brewers and the Red Sox meet for Game 2 at American Family Field. My thanks to each and every one of you for always making Locked On Brewers your first listen each and every day. Remember, you can follow Locked On Brewers over on Twitter at Locked On Brewers. Get all of our content wherever you get audio, Apple, Google, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all those good stuff. You can also get all of our content right here on YouTube. Just search Locked On Brewers, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow after the Brewers take on the Boston Red Sox. We'll see if they can get win number 3 in a row. And as always, win, lose, or draw. Today's a good day because it's a win. It's a 3-2 Brewers win. But no matter what, win, lose, or draw, it's always go Brewers. Have a good one, everyone.